The day you take your mind back, there comes a moment in almost every life when the noise becomes unbearable. Not because the world gets louder overnight, but because one day you finally notice how much of yourself has been handed away. A little piece to the phone in your hand. A little piece to the opinions of strangers. A little piece to the fear of missing out. A little piece to yesterday's regret. A little piece to tomorrow's worry. And after enough days like that, you wake up feeling like you are somehow present and absent at the same time. Awake, but not fully alive. Moving, but not truly choosing. Existing, but not leading your own mind. Most people do not lose themselves all at once. They lose themselves quietly. They lose themselves by saying yes when they mean no. They lose themselves by checking one more notification. By scrolling for 5 minutes that become 50. By letting distraction make decisions that discipline was supposed to make. By feeding every impulse and starving every purpose. And then one day, they look around at the life they are living and wonder when they stopped being the one in charge. This is the story of the day you take your mind back. Not next year. Not when life slows down. Not when you feel ready. Not when the perfect morning finally arrives. The day you take your mind back is always today, because today is the only place where power has ever existed. You do not need a new personality. You do not need to become someone else. You do not need to disappear into a cabin in the woods and come back enlightened. You do not need a miracle. You need a decision, a real one. A decision so clean and honest that it cuts through every excuse you have rehearsed for yourself. Because the truth is, your life changes the moment your standards become stronger than your moods. For too long, people have been taught to wait until they feel motivated. But motivation is unreliable. Motivation is emotional weather. It changes by the hour. Discipline is different. Discipline says, I may not feel like it, but I know who I want to be. Discipline says, my future does not get canceled because my feelings are inconvenient today. Discipline says, I refuse to make permanent decisions based on temporary weakness. There is a version of you that already knows this. That version of you is not imaginary. He is not fictional. He is not some motivational fantasy. He exists in moments. He appears when you keep your promise to yourself. He appears when you shut the screen off and sit alone with your thoughts. He appears when you choose the hard thing on purpose. He appears when you finish what you said you would finish. He appears when you stop negotiating with habits that are destroying your peace. The strongest version of you is not built in comfort. He is revealed in resistance. Think about that. Every time you resist distraction, you meet him. Every time you delay gratification, you meet him. Every time you tell the truth, even when it costs you, you meet him. Every time you do what must be done without applause, you meet him. So many people are waiting to become confident before they act, but confidence is usually the result of action, not the requirement for it. You become confident by collecting evidence. Evidence that you can endure discomfort. Evidence that you can stay focused. Evidence that you can recover from failure. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Trust in yourself is not built by talking. It is built by keeping promises. And maybe that is where your pain has been coming from. Not just from being busy. Not just from being stressed. Not just from the pressure of the world. Maybe some of your exhaustion comes from the quiet knowledge that you have been abandoning yourself in small ways for too long. Maybe the reason you feel heavy is because every broken promise to yourself becomes weight. Wake up early, then hit snooze. Start the plan, then quit 2 days in. Say you are done with the distraction, then return to it by evening. Promise yourself peace, then feed your chaos all day long. A person can survive that way for a while, but eventually the soul gets tired, not because it is weak, but because it was built for alignment. There is something powerful that happens when your actions begin to match your values. You feel clearer, lighter, stronger. Not because life becomes easy, but because inner conflict begins to die. And inner conflict is one of the most exhausting things a human being can carry. To know what matters and not live it, to know what must change and keep avoiding it, to know who you could become and continue betraying that possibility. That kind of conflict drains the spirit, so let today be the day the conflict ends. Let today be the day you stop asking your feelings for permission. Let today be the day you stop making an idol out of comfort. Let today be the day you become honest about what your habits are costing you. Every habit costs something. Some habits cost money. Some cost health. Some cost time. Some cost dignity. Some cost relationships. Some cost clarity. Some cost destiny. And the most dangerous habits are not always dramatic. Sometimes the habits ruining your life look ordinary. Constant distraction, constant comparison, constant avoidance, constant stimulation, constant consumption with no creation, constant reaction with no reflection. A mind that is always interrupted eventually forgets how to go deep, and a life without depth becomes shallow, even when it looks full. You can have entertainment and still feel empty. You can have connection and still feel alone. You can have options and still feel trapped. You can have information and still lack wisdom. Because wisdom does not come from more input. It often comes from silence long enough to hear what your own conscience has been trying to say. Silence is uncomfortable for many people because silence removes the performance. In silence, there is no audience. No scrolling, no numbing, no easy escape, just you and the truth. But the truth is not your enemy. The truth is the doorway. The truth tells you what needs to be cut away. The truth tells you what deserves your energy. The truth tells you where you have been pretending. The truth tells you where fear has been running your life. The truth tells you who you are becoming if you keep living like this. And once you really see it, you cannot unsee it. Maybe your truth is that you are distracted because focus would force you to confront your potential. Maybe your truth is that you stay busy, so you do not have to feel your emptiness. Maybe your truth is that you keep consuming motivation because actually changing your life would require sacrifice. Maybe your truth is that you are waiting for certainty when life only gives clarity after commitment. Whatever your truth is, face it, because what you refuse to face will continue to shape you from the shadows. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the refusal to let fear make your choices. There will never be a perfect time to reclaim your life. Life will stay messy. People will remain unpredictable. The world will keep trying to pull your attention in 1,000 directions. The conditions may never become ideal. But power does not come from ideal conditions. Power comes from inner order. A person with inner order can walk through chaos without becoming chaos. That is what you want, not a fragile kind of peace that only exists when everything goes your way, not a temporary burst of discipline that fades by the weekend, not a version of strength that depends on being inspired. You want rooted strength, quiet strength, repeatable strength, the kind that remains when nobody is watching. That kind of strength is built in private. It is built when you get up and do what must be done. It is built when you choose reading over endless scrolling. It is built when you sit with discomfort instead of sedating it. It is built when you train your body even when your mind resists. It is built when you speak less and execute more. It is built when you stop needing everybody to understand your journey. Not everyone will understand your discipline. Some people are only comfortable with the version of you that requires less from them. The moment you become more focused, more serious, more intentional, you may notice resistance. People may call you different. They may call you extreme. They may say you changed. You did. That is the point. Growth is supposed to create distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Do not apologize for evolving. Do not apologize for protecting your peace. Do not apologize for setting boundaries. Do not apologize for choosing long-term rewards over short-term validation. Do not apologize for becoming someone your old habits cannot recognize. There is a loneliness that sometimes comes with growth, but there is a deeper loneliness that comes from staying the same when your spirit is begging you to rise. So choose your loneliness carefully. Choose the loneliness of discipline over the loneliness of regret. Choose the loneliness of focus over the loneliness of wasted potential. Choose the loneliness of being misunderstood over the loneliness of abandoning yourself, because regret has a voice, and it gets louder with time. It says, you knew better. It says, you had time. It says, you kept postponing your own life. It says, you kept trading what mattered most for what felt good in the moment. No one wants to meet that voice at the end of a decade and realize it is telling the truth. So begin now. Not dramatically, not performatively, not for content, not so other people can praise your comeback. Begin quietly. Clean one part of your life. Keep one promise today. Remove one distraction. Finish one difficult task. Spend 1 hour in real focus. Take one walk without your phone. Read 10 pages. Write one honest page. Sit in silence. Pray if you pray. Think if you think. Listen if you are tired of hearing yourself talk. Small acts, repeated, become identity. This is how transformation really happens. Not in one giant cinematic breakthrough, but in the boring, sacred repetition of better choices. People underestimate the power of ordinary consistency because it does not feel dramatic. But drama is overrated. Drama makes noise. Consistency makes progress. The body changes through repeated training. The mind changes through repeated focus. Character changes through repeated honesty. Life changes through repeated alignment. You become what you repeat. So ask yourself a hard question. What are you repeating? Are you repeating delay? Are you repeating excuses? Are you repeating comparison? Are you repeating self-betrayal? Are you repeating stimulation until your nervous system forgets how to rest? Are you repeating the same patterns and calling it personality? Or are you repeating the kind of actions that a free person would take? Freedom is not doing whatever you feel like doing. That kind of freedom becomes slavery very quickly. Real freedom is self-mastery. Real freedom is being able to say no to what weakens you and yes to what builds you. Real freedom is not being owned by impulse. A mind ruled by impulse is easy to control. That is why reclaiming your attention is such a powerful act. Your attention is your life. Wherever it goes, your days go. Wherever your days go, your future goes. If you cannot direct your attention, then other people will gladly do it for you. Advertisers will, algorithms will, trends will, fear will, anger will, envy will. Anything can rule a person who refuses to rule himself, but not you. Not anymore. Today is the day you interrupt the drift. Today is the day you remember that your mind is not a public space for every distraction to walk through with dirty shoes. Guard it. Protect what enters it. Protect what stays in it. Protect what grows in it. Because a thought repeated becomes a belief. A belief repeated becomes a pattern. A pattern repeated becomes a life. You do not need to control every thought that appears, but you must become more responsible for which thoughts you entertain. Stop feeding the thoughts that make you weak. Stop romanticizing your confusion. Stop rehearsing your fear. Stop worshiping worst-case scenarios as if anxiety were wisdom. Anxious thinking often disguises itself as preparation, but constant worry is not preparation. It is depletion. Preparation leads to action. Worry leads to paralysis. If something can be done, do it. If it cannot be done today, release it for today. If you have no control over it, carrying it mentally will not increase your power. Peace is not passive. Peace is disciplined focus on what is yours to carry. And what is yours to carry right now? Your next action, your next choice, your next hour, your next conversation, your next response to discomfort. That is enough. People destroy themselves by trying to control 10 years at once. Live this day well. Then live the next day well. Then repeat. A good life is not built in theory. It is built in days, and this day matters more than you think. One focused day reminds you who you are. One honest day begins to restore self-respect. One disciplined day weakens old patterns. One day can become a streak. A streak can become a standard. A standard can become a new identity. The person you want to become is hidden inside what you are willing to do consistently. So no, do not wait for a new season. Do not wait for Monday. Do not wait for the first of the month. Do not wait until motivation visits like an unreliable friend. Choose now. Choose to be harder to distract. Choose to be slower to react. Choose to be stronger than the urge. Choose to become someone who can sit in a room alone and still feel whole. Choose to create more than you consume. Choose to finish more than you start. Choose to respect your own mind enough to stop poisoning it. And when you fail, because at some point you will, do not turn one bad moment into a bad identity. The old version of you will try to convince you that failure proves nothing changed. That is a lie. Failure is not final unless you turn it into permission. Learn, adjust, continue. The strongest people are not people who never fall. They are people who refuse to stay down long enough to call it home. Get back up quickly, without drama, without self-hatred, without the speech about how hopeless you are. Just get back up. You have spent enough time doubting whether you can become more disciplined, more peaceful, more focused, more alive. You can. Human beings are far more adaptable than their excuses suggest, but you must stop identifying with your lowest habits. You must stop saying, "This is just how I am." No, that is how you have been. That is not all you are capable of being. Identity can become a prison when it is built from your past instead of your potential. Rewrite it. Say, "I am becoming a man who keeps his word. I am becoming a man who protects his attention. I am becoming a man who can endure discomfort. I am becoming a man who does not need constant noise to avoid himself. I am becoming a man who chooses purpose over impulse. I am becoming a man who leads his life from the inside out." Say it, then back it up with action. Because the day you take your mind back will not feel magical at first. It may feel quiet, uneventful, even awkward, but something profound begins underneath the surface. Your will starts to strengthen. Your awareness sharpens. Your cravings lose some of their authority. Your inner world becomes less chaotic, and in that space, something returns. Presence. You start noticing the sky again, the weight of your own breath, the shape of your thoughts, the sound of your own conscience, the beauty of doing one thing fully, the dignity of living deliberately. And once you taste that kind of presence, the old life begins to lose some of its appeal. Because numbness is seductive until you remember what clarity feels like. This is your life, not a rehearsal, not a rough draft, not a placeholder until the better version begins. This is it, so live like your attention matters. Live like your habits matter. Live like your peace matters. Live like your future is being built by what you do tonight, not just what you dream about tomorrow. The day you take your mind back does not arrive with fanfare. It arrives with a choice. A choice to return to yourself. A choice to stop running. A choice to end the quiet betrayal. A choice to live awake. Make that choice, and then make it again tomorrow. One day, you will look back and realize that what felt small in the moment was actually the turning point. Not because the whole world changed, but because you did. Because you stopped handing your power to distraction. Because you stopped asking comfort to define your destiny. Because you finally understood that your mind is a sacred place and your life will always rise or fall according to what rules it. So breathe, stand up, put the noise down, look your life in the face, and take your mind back.